Welcome back to Elements of Chemistry. Today we're going to talk about temperature conversions. Quite often we're asked to convert between temperature units and different temperature scales. In chemistry, we tend to measure on the Celsius scale, and for weather, cooking, and other life activities, here in the US, we like to use the Fahrenheit scale. Okay, each of these scales also has an absolute scale. Celsius is related to the Kelvin, and Fahrenheit is related to the Rankine scale. So first, let's get an understanding of what temperature measures. Temperature is a measure of the motion of the particles. It's like a speedometer for the particle's motion. 0 Kelvin is when the motion has stopped, and you can't go lower than zero Kelvin because you can't be more stopped than stopped. For the customary scale, that would be 0 R or 0 Rankine. And please note that the Kelvin scale does not use that little teeny degree sign. So why convert? Well, as the world becomes more linked through social media, you start seeing recipes in particular where you're asked to cook something in degrees Celsius and your oven is set for degrees Fahrenheit. And if you set yours to 200 Fahrenheit, well, that's not the same as 200 Celsius, and it's going to take longer for your stuff to cook. So let's talk about how to convert between units. First of all, these units and conversions you kind of need to know. I've always had my students use 273.15 as the conversion factor to go from Celsius to Kelvin. Some teachers simplify it to just 273. Here I'm going to use 273.15, but we can also show it to you with just 273. So you're just going to take your degrees Celsius, like say it's 15 degrees Celsius, and we're going to add 273.15 to it, and that's going to give me my Kelvin. I'm not going to put that little teeny degree sign. So this is going to give me 288.15 Kelvin or 288 Kelvin if you're not using the 0.15. To go back the other way, you're going to subtract 273. So here we can do the same thing. We're going to take our 288.15. We're going to subtract that 273.15, and that's going to take us back to our original 15 degrees Celsius. So you may want to commit this factor to memory, and you use the 273 or the 15 depending on what your system is using. Less frequently, you're going to have to convert between Celsius and Fahrenheit. So you're going to take your degrees Celsius times 1.8 and then add 32. So let's see what that 15 degrees Celsius would have been in Fahrenheit. We would take degrees Fahrenheit is going to equal 1.8 times that 15 degrees Celsius. And then we're going to add 32. You might go, 32, that's such a weird number. Well, in Celsius, water freezes at 0, and in Fahrenheit, it freezes at 32. That's where you get the 32. So we're going to take 1.8 times 15, and we're going to add 32 to it, and that works out to be 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Honestly, you're going to use these less often. This Kelvin Celsius is what you're going to use the most. So let's convert a couple of these together. 25 degrees Celsius into Kelvin. Well, we're going to take 25 degrees Celsius plus 273.15, and that's going to give me 298.15 Kelvin. 100 Celsius to Kelvin, 100 degrees Celsius plus 273.15. That's going to give you 373.15 Kelvin. Zero Kelvin to degrees Celsius. Well, 0K, we're going to subtract 273. So it's going to give you a negative 273.15 degrees Celsius. 100 Kelvin to Celsius. Well, now you probably already can do that one in your head. That's going to be 373.15 degrees Celsius. 30 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. Okay, let's remember our conversion factor we gave it to you up here. 1.8 times degrees Celsius. So we take 1.8 times 30, and we're going to add 32 to it. And that's going to give me 86 degrees Fahrenheit. 350 Fahrenheit to degrees Celsius. Okay, so this is if you're making cookies. And so you've got a recipe that you use here in the US, and you're in a timeshare or a B&B somewhere in another country, and you've got to figure out what to set the oven at. So to go from Fahrenheit to Celsius, we're going to take our degrees Fahrenheit, we're going to subtract 32, and then we divide by the 1.8. So we're going to take 350 degrees Fahrenheit minus 32. I'm going to divide that whole thing by 1.8. And that's going to give you 177 degrees Celsius. Okay, now it's your turn. Let's try to convert a couple of the following, and then we're going to check your work. So as always, pause the video and come back when you're ready to check your work. Okay, hopefully you're back and you've done these. We've got 125 degrees Celsius. We're going to add 273.15. And that's going to give me 398.15 Kelvin. 500 Kelvin to degrees Celsius. Okay, so we're going to take Kelvin, subtract 273.15 to get my degrees Celsius. And that's going to be about 226. 1,000 Fahrenheit to Celsius. Ooh, really hot. Okay, so remember, we're going to take our Fahrenheit, so 1,000 Fahrenheit minus 32, pretty insignificant, divide by 1.8. So it sounds like we're working a kiln here. And that's going to come out to be 538, rounding it, degrees Celsius. Well, I hope this video helped you learn how to convert between different temperature scales. And stay tuned to our next video. We're going to start talking about matter soon. So as always, stay curious, be safe, and be kind. Have a wonderful day.